Hello and welcome, everyone. I hope everything is going great for you. Um, get comfortable, have a chill time. Tonight we're going to be, I got this thing stuck to me. Tonight we're going to be more explorative. So it's going to be a fun one. So don't mind me if you see me taking a little glancy glance over there because I got things happening. So I hope everyone is having a good week. So tonight we're discussing why sometimes holidays, expectations, and then the reality doesn't quite match what we think it should be, right? Hello to everyone in the chat. So we're not here to fix anything. We're just going to notice some things together and explore those concepts and ideas. And hopefully you join me and feel free if you can listen, but even better, write in the chat anything, not exactly anything, but within reason. So before we start, just want to get a feel for everybody and how's everyone doing. How intense does December feel for you? Give me a scale 1 to 10. Like 1, no problem, you are good. 10, you are up there. Like it has been a time. For me personally, I know I'm not normal when it comes to the gauging where I am. Um, I'm very realistic. I don't exaggerate in that regard. But I would say I'm probably at a solid 5 or 6. Like November, now that one was real rough. That one was like a 7, 7.5, like 8 depending on like the hour. But this month has so far been like a 5, maybe a little bit on the 6 side. But yeah, so how's everyone else doing? Let me know in the chat. Scale 1 to 10. How are you feeling this month? Yeah. Dennis said 5. Feels like there's a lot of obligation to go to all these gatherings this time of year. Yep, and I just realized we're a little cut off there on that, so I'm just gonna fix that. Don't mind me. Nice. Sorry, I was changing things, moving things around, and things happen. But okay, a lot of obligations, gatherings this time of year. Yeah, your normal schedule may not be your normal schedule, especially on the weekend. That's when maybe someone's saying Friday come over, and then someone else saying Saturday come over, and then someone else saying Sunday afternoon come over, and you're like, can I just stay home? So yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into it, shall we? So tonight we're talking about the perfect holiday myth. Um, maybe the version of December that we consciously or subconsciously absorb from like movies, TV shows, and social media, and our dominant whatever pop culture-esque we were surrounded by through childhood or teenage years, even currently, right? But how different that can feel from real life. So, do you think your ideas of the holidays are what do you think the idea of what you think the holidays are supposed to look like are based off of like what your holidays actually look like, or are based off of a specific show, movie, something you were exposed to in that regard growing up? So like from real life or the movies. I personally, uh, if you want to respond, just put real life, movies, or like a mix of both in the chat as a response. I personally, I didn't realize how much of my image of the holidays was based off of movies, not actual lived experiences. Like as I was writing these notes and all this stuff and like processing what we were going to be discussing and exploring together, I realized I don't really have an early childhood memory of Christmas. I think the earliest I could go back was like maybe 9. Um, yeah, like I don't remember Christmas 5, 6, 7, 8. I know we had it. We must have, right? But yeah, the earliest I was able to go back. So Dennis said, or D Nicoletti, movies heavily influenced for sure. Okay. Yeah, I definitely was influenced by movies growing up for sure. But then also, like I said, maybe you go back in time and kind of recall what is your earliest memory of Christmas. Were you 5? Were you 4? Were you like 12? Like seriously, thought that was really interesting for me when I was exploring that on my own and just realizing like 9. I actually vividly remember, maybe because the my 9-year-old me during that Christmas time, one, I was sleeping on the couch for other reasons, but so I was very adjacent to the tree. Then I also remember wearing very specific pajamas. There were hand-me-down ones, very like long pajamas. But then also, I think because there is a picture of me from that day. I think that year, if you're a millennial or a 90s kid, you may remember at one point there was like these cameras that were like a gift or whatever, but you would take the picture and pull it out. They were like this small, but you could stick them places. So kind of like a Polaroid. And I remember my sister and I got one. Maybe just one of us got one. I don't remember. But that's where that picture has came from. My sister, she took a picture of me, and that's the one I remember. So I'm not sure if without that picture would I have just let go of all those memories and not remembered it. But yeah, so 9 is as far back as I go. So let me know in the chat when you think about Christmas, childhood, reality, how far back can you go to your earliest memory? I think you can let me know in the chat, or for your own personal self-awareness, do that little experiment. Just, see how far you can get back there and see maybe there's some highlight of why you remembered. Like I said, there's an actual picture of it for me. So maybe that's why I remember that one. But yeah, it's really interesting. So let's look at a few familiar movies. We're not going to analyze them deeply, but I am going to use them as reference. And we can kind of get our emotional gauge about them, what we feel about them, if they're nostalgic for you as they were for me. And I think I picked some good ones, familiar. So let's continue. And hopefully everything I did still works well. Does it work well? Okay. So first, when people picture a real Christmas, that's like the real Christmas. I think this image kind of is definitely an image. You may not know what it's from automatically, but you may recognize it, or you may be like, that looks like a Christmas house. I think it's not only, this is a exterior shot from the movie Home Alone, just so we're all aware. But this movie, I think a whole generation has at least seen it once. I personally have seen it multiple times because a sister of mine, this is one of her top movies. She loves Christmas movies, and this is just one of them that is just every year, every July, every random February or March. Like it's happening. So yeah. So when people picture Christmas, this is often the image. This house, did this work correctly? Nope, that was not the right button. Maybe this hallway scheme. And as I was going through this, like I did not give as many interior shots as I could have. There are interior shots of this house. But I realized the whole house is like red and green themed, like from the wallpaper. No, not that one. But from like the wallpaper to like lines of places, there are like green. So I'm like, okay, so they definitely decorated this house for Christmas for this movie. But I think the whole space, the chaos of all this, like all these family members, and also like the house being this big, and also them going to Paris and everything like that is a big draw of what people think when they think of Christmas, I think. So yeah, so when discussing Christmas, especially in the reality sense of what you expected it to be, what the holidays were supposed to look like, I think Home Alone in particular was one of those that a lot of people kind of had that idea of Christmas, or at least like, yeah, families go on trips. All your family or like extended family comes in for the holidays, and now you're having to like, shove your son into the attic and say, this is your room for now. Stuff like that. So I think that gave a lot of ideas for a lot of us on what Christmas looks like, at least from the outside or in general, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you have a different movie, but so I think this movie particularly teaches us growing up about like what Christmas is supposed to look like I said, and so I found that really interesting. So, what do you think? Yes? Did you remember that movie? Did you ever watch it growing up? Yeah, like I said, I did lots of times, not even growing up, just being a grown adult, my sister would play that movie. So, chat, let me know when you picture holiday magic or the December season, what does it look like in your head? Is it something like this movie? Where like the bigger house, the full decorations, red and green decorations, family coming in, chaos ensuing essentially with that many people in one house, or is it something else? Is there another movie that you remember growing up? For me, I also think when I was looking this up and I found the Home Alone exterior, I think other movies like Christmas with the Cranks has a similar house. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm trying to remember. There's also like the Family Stone had like similar house where it's like I think they're called colonial, right? Where they do that. They're like a box. And so I was thinking like that seems to be the house. But also growing up, this was one of those movies that was very much I was aware that this is not what our Christmas looked like. One, giant house. I grew up in like the biggest house with a 3 bedroom, 2 bath. Um, I remember sharing a room with my other sister and things like that. So, like I said, ninth Christmas, I remember sleeping on the couch. So there's rooms were not to be had. Um, Honestly, thinking about it, I don't know if we had many Christmas movies playing around this time. Rudolph. Yeah, I guess snow. That's another thing that culturally Christmas we connect snow to it because the winter. But I live in California, and not mountainous California, so snow is not to be had around here. It's snow adjacent. Like if I were to go in a direction 2+ hours somewhere at the right time, maybe I'd find some. But I think for a lot of us, like maybe if you lived in Florida or things like that or grew up there, you're like, no, that's not Rudolph. That's not how it looks. So yeah. And then also when it comes to like growing up, I remember seeing like I said, we watched Home Alone plenty of times in different Christmas movies, but seeing like that much family coming in and flying in and them particularly, I think there is this slide of handing out plane tickets like that was the most plane ticket I ever saw. Like I don't even know if that's really what a 90s plane ticket looked like. Like yeah. Like for me even thinking of going to a family's house or flying somewhere, one, I think most of my family lived where I lived in general, and we didn't really go spend time with the extended family. So let me know in the chat if you were used to spending time with extended family. I was not. That was not my life. So also seeing that in something like Home Alone where there was that many people in the house, like cousins, uncles, and all that, I'm like, why are they all here? But then them actually going on a trip where they like are all going into bands, handing out plane tickets and everything. I'm like, who's doing this traveling? Got this time, and personally in my life, I still have never been on an airplane. I did almost, but then the plane was like, no, we have to deplane. There's something wrong with the plane, and I was like, well, God said no, Angela, you don't get to go in the air today. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. But so yeah, growing up, definitely, my mother, my father, no one I knew had ever even been on an airplane or regularly flew on an airplane. I didn't even go to like the major airport, with the LAX around here until I was like in my mid 20s, picking up my now husband, who was then my boyfriend. And I wasn't the one driving. I was not. But yeah, so whenever like movies like I think like Love Actually, this cord keeps getting me. But whenever movies like Love Actually showing like them running through the airport, people just flying, like I think at the end of the movie when it takes place at the airport, when what was it? The little boy is running and the little girl and she's like an American. But I'm like, you just flying back over there, just like no big deal. Just get on the plane, winter, going. So that's wild. But also like when you think of when December, the holidays aren't exactly like what you thought the movies portrayed and they didn't quite fit reality. I think we got to go a little bit into classism. And I think that's one of the things I started knowing, being keenly aware as I was growing up, like 9, 10, 11, of being like, who's going on these airplanes? Those things cost money. Who's flying in? What is this house? Like that must be really expensive and things like that. So when you go into that, classism and resources and stuff, maybe not all of our holidays look like that. So let me know in the chat if what if your holiday looked anything similar to the Home Alone holiday or not. But yeah. So that's the visual of what a lot of the times we expect Christmas to look like. But let's segue into maybe the more emotional tone of what Christmas is supposed to feel like. And we all know this one. Some of us do not like this movie. I personally, it's fine. But the idea of like Buddy the Elf in general. This movie is not about the decor. It's still Christmas, mind you, and this is kind of making me sick, so I'm gonna like it. Yeah. But I think it's more about how Christmas is supposed to feel. Buddy the Elf is like so amazingly sincere in his view of Christmas and what it's supposed to represent and be. Mind you, is a little bit naive considering where he goes to later. Like, you know. Oh, Roxanne says not going out of town, but getting together in one setting is close to Home Alone. Yeah, that's true. If you have a big family and are at least going to someone's house, okay, so that's something similar. So you may have been like, I don't have a giant home, but everyone can still come here and be together. So yeah, so it's one of those things that holiday expectation versus reality. You yourself, Roxanne, already put together what you can do, like what you wanted out of seeing like those movies and all that happening. Everybody has a room, their families coming in, flying in to visit. You're like, I want family to be close. So can I at least do that? And you're like, yes. So that's excellent of learning what your like bare minimum is, what your expectation actually is. Like realizing it's not about having the biggest house or the most rooms or all this. It's about actually having your family together with you. And that's what mattered. Yep. So going back to Buddy the Elf and Alf is that I think this movie represents really well how Christmas is supposed to feel, like the excitement, the sincerity, childlike wonder and joy. Like clearly, like this guy is excited. But I think like, okay, wrong one, my mistake. I think that this really encapsulates like the feel of Christmas. So I think if you think holiday movie myths about the expectations versus the reality, maybe you realize at a certain age you're not this excited about Christmas. Maybe you wish you were. Maybe at one point in your life you were this excited, like the nostalgia hits of being like, oh, I remember. I think I discussed this once on a previous live, but like for a long time in my mind, there was like a smell of Christmas for me. When the weather got cold enough where I live, and then having a coat, being cold, and then going into like Walmart or something and walking through the parking lot, there was like a nostalgic hit of like, this is Christmas now for me. So maybe that was reminiscent of my childhood, some memory left over of my reality and stuff like that. So yeah, let me know in the chat if you have something like that where maybe you get a scent of cinnamon, hot cocoa, maybe the cold nips at you like that, and you think, ooh, it's winter, it's Christmas time. Let me know. It'd be interesting if we have similar ideas like that. I think when it comes to how Christmas is supposed to feel, there's also the desire for like automatic joy. Like you're supposed to be like super happy, super excited around this time, and that's not necessarily true, especially as one gets older and other things come into play. And also think that kind of like the holiday expectation from movies and TV shows is like once it's Christmas, like I think on TV shows when you see like, oh, it's a special episode, it's a Christmas episode, it's kind of like, unless it's a very special episode where they're trying to bring it to like feeding the homeless, going to the soup kitchen, or someone's down and out. Usually there's an atmosphere of like, oh, it's Christmas, everyone's happy and joyful and all that stuff like that. Roxanne mentioned make believe. Oh, hello Danielle, welcome. We're discussing Buddy the Elf in the Elf movie and relating to how in that movie it's a good representation of how Christmas is supposed to feel. So I think a lot of us feel pressure not just to like do or perform Christmas a certain way, but like to feel it. Like when you're feeling sad or you're not feeling up to going out or hanging out with friends or family, it can kind of feel like, ooh, like the expectation is that you should be up to it, right? Like sometimes for me personally, yes, I deal with fatigue and I do get tired a lot. So it's more about, I think, what Roxanne did with accepting what she can and can't do in the expectations category of even if you want to be able to provide for your family like the largest house or the most rooms, the reality is like maybe you can't. So then you're like, what is I really want? And you want your family together. And that is something you can do. Maybe they're gonna have to share rooms. Maybe someone's gonna have to sleep on the couch. But hey, it's cozy and it's like family time together. So you do your bare minimum. So I think when it comes to the feeling of Christmas, when you're trying to put the pressure on yourself to feel festive, to feel like you should go and be ready to party. Sometimes it's drinking parties or sometimes, eating a lot of food or doing stuff. Think of what the bare minimum actually is. Like, is it just leaving your house? Is it going to your mom's house that you particularly like? Is it going to your friends get together you particularly like? So then you have to kind of weigh that in and to realize what is the bare minimum of going out or joining in on the festivities that you're willing to do or able to do. Roxanne said together but still comfortable, yes. So let me know in the chat, do you ever feel pressure to be in a certain holiday mood? Like I said earlier, if December maybe not your month and you're feeling a little down, but do you ever feel the pressure of like, especially if you're hosting? I would imagine I don't host because people don't allow me to, and that's fine with me. It truly is. It's a gift that they can give me of not hosting. But one of the things is I lost my train of thought. Wow. That's okay. It happens. We are live. But I think when you feel like you have to perform a certain way, like to go to all the get-togethers and things like that, like I said, just do not the bare minimum because that sounds terrible, but do what you actually want to do. Like, what is the highlight? What is the enjoyment? I work under a cover behind the scenes. Yes. Um, Danielle states, I would like everyone to come as they are because I bond and connect better when I see them and not the mask. But regardless, I understand why they would want to show the mask and there myself sometimes. I'm there myself sometimes. Okay, yeah, like respect. You understand when other people, maybe they're going through grief, maybe they're going through sadness, maybe just a day that has been rough, but them showing up, maybe that's what your heart is grateful for. Wherever it is, like if you're going to a parent's house or another get together, someone showing up does matter. So I guess even if you're the one who's exhausted or tired, kind of pick the place that you know the most people are going to be so everyone gets to kind of see you. And so it's about showing up and being in the place that matters and also feels like, yay, I did this event, I did the thing, I showed up. So yeah. I like to come as I am, show up and be in good company. I'll go buy some snacks to bring, LOL. Yeah, like if you're someone, sorry, excuse me, I did have dinner before this, my apologies. If you're someone who has the energy and the capacity, then kind of you can show up for other people in that regard. Like if you could take the heaviness of December or the holidays or a get together off of somebody, then that's also a gift unto itself of you giving more of yourself because someone else kind of needs that break. So yeah, that's awesome. So I think when it comes to like the automatic joy or feeling of this is Christmas, that is kind of like, I don't want to use the term sucky, but that kind of is the most disappointing part of like growing up. Because that joy, that excitement, I guess maybe the excitement about Christmas was mainly because you were going to get a bunch of gifts or presents, and that was the excitement. So that could have been it. And now as an adult, you may be more in charge of the gift giving and the presents. And whoo, that can get taxing. So I think maybe that's the joy is less automatic because instead of just your only responsibility was receiving gifts or just participating in activities, now it's about planning the activities and it's about actually giving the gifts and doing all that. So yeah, so like I said, I think the biggest thing takeaway from that is to make sure you realize what your priorities are. Like, do you want the family togetherness? Do you love the decorations? Do you love baking, making cookies or like gingerbread men? Or do you love the gift giving and like decide what is your priority? What is your lane? Where are you like, as long as I do this, the holiday was not a bust. It was great. So yeah, I think it's about like learning who you are. And I think a lot of you guys have done that. So awesome. Um, so I think the next myth concerning the holidays is one that kind of hits a little heavier. So this movie, I think I can does not have to say it. I think we all know what this movie is. This is It's a Wonderful Life, and I think this one kind of hits in the sense of what a lot of us currently and economically may be feeling a little bit. It's not as rough, hopefully, for you. Um, so December sometimes feels less about the joy of Christmas or the holidays and more about like taking inventory and trying to figure out what needs to be paid attention to, what needs to be like what it took taken into stock, like your finances maybe, stress levels, things coming up in the next year. Roxanne states, I like doing both. It makes me my heart happy. I will just go all out to the best of my abilities. I hope everyone enjoys it for or time well spent with me. Yes, it's about finding what is truly the thing you enjoy. Yes. Danielle states, this is my favorite Christmas movie by far. Yeah, George Bailey, he was a star in that world. But so let me know, chat. What tends to feel more heavy during this time of year for you? Is it money, family, memories, or expectations? I think expectations for me because I tend to expect a lot of myself and others. And something I've learned over the past year or two is yes, this is true about me, like decades of truth. But I tend to give more grace and understanding to others than myself. Like I tend to understand others where their boundaries are, their psychology, why they do the things they do. But for me, if I don't meet those standards, I take it as a personal failing. And that's something this past year I've definitely been working on as some is better than none. And then like done is better than not at all. And so I think that's part of like getting out of your head sometimes and trying to actually like right now we're testing this format out and I hope it's going well, but you tell me. But it's one of those things where we're just learning, we're growing, we're exploring this together. So me, I think it's the expectations that tend to get heavier during this time of year. Roxanne said, missing my baby the most, but financially it really kicks my butt. LOL. Oh, yes. One, grief is a serious thing. I think next week we'll really be discussing like the heavy moments in December, so join us for that one. And then financially, yes. I personally, I think I mentioned this in a previous live, have a sister who's moving in with us. We had to do some major moving things around, get storage, all that stuff. So we definitely spent money in December that was not allotted that we were going to spend money in December for. um, and usually that money would have been spent on like the Christmas gifts, decorations, extra stuff like when we go to a family's get together gathering for us to just make an order for like a food platter or something. And we're still probably going to do all that, but now we're like, ho, ho, ho. Now we're very keenly aware of the finances in between those get togethers. Before it was more like, no, no, we're good. We're okay. Now I'm like, oh, gotta watch that because we're not the most financially astute, but we're trying. And we definitely just, like I said, even now, I don't get on airplanes. We're not going on trips like that. And that's just fine. That's fine with me. So there's a lot of money that just is around for the holidays that just ends up being earmarked as like, yay, we can do things. But this year, can't do as many of the things, or at least not as readily. I gotta like double check the stuff first. But yeah, I think emotionally, we can see like just because it's December does not mean everything else stops. I think that's like a good one. Like, yeah, for me personally, everything for me hit a lot of stuff externally hit in November. That's why I went dark for like November, most of it. Had to deal with a lot of like, not really personal. It wasn't me. It was outside things coming at me. But yeah, nothing stops. Yes. And sometimes nothing stops and it gets busier and you're expected to do more. But hopefully, and I think what these lives are trying to accomplish here is building community. So hopefully you have a community around you, be it friends, be it family, that can help kind of pull in resources and tools and tips and things like that. And if you don't, well, I'm here. And hey, how are you? So feel free to, say your piece in the chat. Yeah, so I think particularly with the movie It's a Wonderful Life. Totally forgot the name of the movie when I'm like, I know this movie. The financial stress for sure. Crisis timing, like me, like I said, it was last month things happened. So when things unexpectedly happen, and then life doesn't stop. Even though Christmas may be coming up, a holiday get together, you still got to deal with that. And then scarcity around the holidays, financially, all that stuff. Nothing holds. So even the good and the bad can coexist during this time. So that's why things can not only get, like, say, a little confusing, but definitely heavier in the emotional department because stress is building. There's real actual financial scarcity, resources, problems happening, but you're still expected to show up. And sometimes, like Danielle said, people show up with their mask on, and that's okay because we've all been there where you're not showing up fully as your true self and being like, "Ooh, it's a rough day today." You're more putting on the show and the performance of the festivities, which I hope you can find people and friends and family that at least in the quiet moments that you can, unmask and truly be yourself and talk about your grief, talk about, your burdens, and maybe they will give you some input. Maybe they'll give you some advice. Maybe they'll help you out by bringing something they have extra this time of year and things like that. So yeah, sometimes December is less about joy and more about the taking inventory of where you're actually, like, the reality hits. So, well, Roxanne says, open up when you're comfortable. Sometimes people just need a hug. Yep, that's true too. Sometimes words are not needed. You need to hug it out and just be like, I'm glad you came. Do you want any food? And that's enough to be like, all right, cool. Or can I get you anything? So yes, hospitality goes a long way. That little moments of connection do matter. So I think for a lot of things, this time of year doesn't necessarily hit harder because we're like not equipped or broken or something's wrong with us. It's more so a lot of us, including myself, are under resourced. So I think that's when one, taking in the inventory of where you're actually at. Like, it's not all bad. Maybe after the December hits, you'll be like, it's okay, we're fine. Also, you have to take in account like the end of year exhaustion, where, it's the end of the year. It's supposed to be more of a slowed, quiet time. Maybe there's some reflection happening, so that needs to be taken into account. The reality of there is less daylight, that the days are kind of gloomy. So if you're one of those people who love the sun or prefer it, maybe this time of year may not be the best for you. I think, was it last week or the week before? I'm not sure. Everything kind of blurs together in December, doesn't it? But sometimes I think it's seasonal affective disorder, which totally a thing where some people, the season really does affect them and they actually need either medication or help, or like, I think I actually bought a little LED light that is supposed to mimic like the sunlight, because my room in my house, there's like just one window not facing the sun at all. So it gets pretty dark in here, which is great for bedtime, but not great for waking up. So yeah. And then I think I'd mentioned to my husband, I told him like there was a day, a week a week or so ago that he seemed a little down. And then I just asked him, do you need some vitamin D? Because that's a real thing. It's been like weeks into December. Some people may be starting to feel low, and it could legit be vitamin D deficiency or just lower than your normal optimal. So that's something to also look into. Roxanne say it's been quite gloomy the past couple of weeks. That does affect people. Yeah. I think I personally like enjoy when it's a little gloomy because I don't like the sun that much. The deadly laser, and I prefer when it's like overcast and all that. But I do understand what it's there for. And then I think for a lot of people also we get memories if you did not have the happiest childhood or not the best memories around Christmas. This could be one of those times when that kind of triggers or things come up. So it's a lot of processing or reflection again, and then you're expected, or some people want you to show up at like their festivities, and you may not be the life of the party in that regard. The sun is a deadly laser, yes. So just give yourself grace and know that most likely your nervous system is doing a lot of work right now. There's a lot of internal regulation as well as external factors coming at you, so make sure to give yourself grace in that regard. So chat, does December make you feel more reflective or more overwhelmed? Let me know. Say, just type reflective or overwhelmed in the chat. Or if you want to give me more, totally give me more. I'll read it out loud. I'll respond. We'll have a little back and forth tennis match. But I think I'm very reflective in general. For me personally, yeah, I tend to be very self-aware in my head a lot. I think my thoughts, and I try to process like who I am, what I'm about. Try to figure out my underlying motives for certain behaviors or like things. So I don't think I'm more reflective. I think I'm just as intensely reflective as any other month, but definitely more overwhelmed. Like I said about another sister of mine is moving in, doing things, realizing this year, I think when we were moving boxes around, I told my husband, because we call it the spare bedroom, but it really wasn't super spare bedroom. It was my then office, as well as it was storage pretty much. All the things I just hadn't dealt with and decided it had a place. I was like, it goes in here. And that was also one of the places that I would put Christmas gifts. So I was like, oh, that's disappointing. And he was like, well, I'm like, this year I won't have a room to go in, lock myself in there and like wrap the gifts and like process the gifts. I'll have to figure out a place in our room and things like that. So I was like, oh, I lost that space, huh? Roxanne says, I think my life is overwhelming all the time, lol, since my family big, lots of chiefs. Okay, yeah, a lot of personalities, a lot of big personalities. That can be, yeah, that could definitely be overwhelming. D. Nicoletti, big families are a lot to keep up with. I think I personally grew up with moderate, not okay, maybe like slightly on the bigger family side. But like I said, we didn't really hang out with like extended family. So there was about I had 3 older sisters and then eventually 1 younger sister. So okay. But yeah, but then once we all started getting older, people started having kids, it definitely became a big family. Or once everybody actually is in one location, it's like, oh, we don't need extended family. Look at all of us. It's great. But then also with my husband's family, his was it I don't want to say internal family, there's another word for it. 4 family group, they're much smaller. There's like 4 of them. That's all they have. So it was very interesting going there. And experiencing that where it's like we're like during the holidays, like, oh, it's really just us all at one table, just sitting here. Just just us. Okay. I see you guys on other Sundays, but all right, we're doing this. So yeah, when you come from a larger family where maybe not everybody could actually sit at the table at once, where some people are kind of scattered into the living room and such, but then sometimes when you go into like a smaller family get together and you realize, oh, this is it. Okay. So yeah, for me, I think there's a little bit more overwhelm, but also learning how to breathe and how to not expect too much from myself or others, and to learn that pacing. So for Roxanne, yeah, take it one day at a time. You know, count what is actually important to you, prioritize that, and then be honest with others, be honest with yourself. So if someone's just being a little bit of a butt, be like, you are being rude. And then maybe just stop talking to them, but let them know like that will not be tolerated. I think that's something too, a lot of times with family. If you show family that your boundaries can be crossed, multiple times that they can keep pushing at you, I think they're more often going to do it and not respect your boundaries. So it's like this real hard, like not experiment, process of learning how to respect your own boundary and knowing why that's a boundary and why it needs not to be crossed, and also protecting it, and also getting yourself out of situations where other people who want to push your buttons or push those boundaries can't do it, you know? Okay, chat. Another fun thing we're doing. I'm excited about this. I'm excited. Okay. Okay. So I don't want anybody to get overloaded. So we're just going to pick one small thing where I'm going to discuss it. We're going to go through maybe my own experience with it. You'll let me know if you've done this before or you haven't. So in the chat, pick A, B, or C. Which chest would you like for me to open? Think of it kind of like a loot crate in a video game. You come across a chest and now you're going to open it. So let me know in the chat A, B, or C. As you can tell, I did this. And I just thought it'd be a fun little thing. Kind of gamify the night just a little bit. Okay, we got one for C. Okay. Any other votes, A, B, or C? I think B is actually a trunk, not a chest, but I still counted it as a chest because I was like, yeah, that's fine. Because I did look for like actual chest, and maybe even C might be actually a trunk. I think A looks most like an actual chest. Yeah. So we got C, we have A. I'll give chat some little bit more time to vote. Right now we got C and A. I would prefer to have a bit of a tiebreaker. So yeah, I didn't want to overload anyone and go through a whole spiel of different tools or things to use, as I'm not an expert. Just know what has worked for me and what hasn't worked for me. And also like psychology, what science and research says, hey, this does work. And I'm like, oh, that's actually a pretty good idea. So yeah. So that's why I decided to do it like this, just so we can pick one and then we can discuss that. Okay, the voting's going once, going twice. Okay, okay, we got some people voting twice. So we got we got double dippers here. But I guess we're just gonna have to go with C. So, all right. Boop. We're going with C. Now it would be super cool if I could make it like open, but no, I didn't get that far. But C is give yourself permission to let go of one expectation consciously. Like I said, if you had an idea of this is like what a perfect holiday house is supposed to look like, this is what the decor is supposed to look like, this is what the food's supposed to look like, or this is what these things are supposed to look like or feel like, give yourself permission, like consciously name it. One, figure out what it is that you're going to let go this year. Like you're like, we're not going to worry about that. Like maybe it's something that every year it gets under your skin. Maybe it's something that every year just seems like a lot. And maybe you're always grateful that you get done with it, but you're always like, I hate or I don't like doing this. I think for me was the idea, this is going to sound terrible, but it's not. It's meant to sound like just me understanding myself, of getting great or really good gifts. Now, I love when people give me gifts. Now, don't get it wrong. The thought really does go a long way for me, where I really understand that. But I understand in the past, people have said things like, you're really hard to get gifts for, or I don't know what you like. And I'm like, huh. But I also, if you don't know me personally and why this channel is a thing, is I decided I'm going to speak. I'm going to be more opinionated. I'm going to actually, say my thoughts and get them out there and actually try to connect and try to build a little community here and connect with you all, help you as you help me. And this can be like reciprocal and all that good stuff. So in that, this year, I actually gave permission to be like, you know what, let's not have this weird guessing game, this hopefulness of being like, I wonder if someone's gonna give me something I really want. I think this year, that's when I ended up sharing my actual wish list on Amazon. I actually created one, put it all together. I think I had it the year prior, but I more so did it for my husband's family, because speaking of classism and like the holiday movies that we imagine, like Family Stone, Home Alone, Christmas with the Franks, it wasn't until I met my husband and met his family that I realized who those movies were probably representing. It was their type of family. Like I said, there's like 3 or 4 of them. They're in a very large home. Sometimes certain Christmases, they're either flying out very regularly, not even just holidays, but on family vacations, or family is coming in for the holidays. So the rooms do get filled up, and now there's like 10 or 12 people in the house. So that's when I realized, oh, that's who this subset of who is represented in these films. But yeah, so I had a Christmas list that it was meant mainly for them, because his mother was like, I'm not sure how she actually does gifts, but it's something along the lines, I am going to spend like X amount on people. I'm going to at least get everybody like this amount of gifts. So I need to figure out what they want, like, and get that for them. So then I created a Christmas list, just so she wasn't completely in the dark, because for a very long time, I think it took about 3 or 4 years into our marriage before I actually started talking more to my my in-laws, in the sense of, these are just people and I'm ready to just connect and see what they're about. I know we didn't always, we don't see eye on eye on some issues, more so because I think some self-awareness is lacking on their part. But I was like, okay, I want to hear what do you think about this? Like, I'm interested. So yeah, so that's where that Christmas list came from. And then this year I decided, okay, we're just going to share it freely. We're not going to gatekeep my wants or my desires in the sense of Christmas gifts. And just, if someone has an idea for me, cool, they can do what they want. But if they don't know, and also it may alleviate some pressure in that regard of them trying to put all this mental energy and trying to figure me out a gift when they have like 20 other people to get gifts for. So yeah. Roxanne said, it mostly doing the decorating, but I'm procrastinating every year, but I get it done last minute every time. But I feel accomplished when I do complete it. Okay, maybe this year, doing it all on your own. Maybe this year you ask, was it other friends, family members, to be like, this sub box is your responsibility. Please put these bows wherever. And maybe it's even just not even that day. It's like the week leading up to Christmas and then so forth, and be like, put these appropriately, up. I don't know. That's my 2 cents of possibility. Anybody else in the chat can give Roxanne some advice of what you think. But yeah, one expectation to consciously let go this year for me was expecting amazing gifts from people, when it is the thought that counts, the energy they put into it. Now, sometimes there is confusion when someone gives me a weird gift that they generally are like, yeah, I got you this. And I'm like, okay, I don't understand, but all right. So that's also another area of self-reflection for me, to be like, wow, how do they perceive me? How did this gift come about? So that's also like a fun little exploration thing I do on my own. But yeah. So I think this has been an interesting discussion. They saw you differently, yes. So that's also interesting to see externally how others view me, or what they think I like, or what they think I'm like. That's always an interesting take. D. Nicoletti, I just find the gift giving and receiving stressful in general. I give up both if I could. Well, obviously then that's not your priority. So either you ask a friend, a family member, someone else if they can do that for you, or like I said, find people a Christmas list. Be like, hey, can you send me your Christmas list and I will pick something. Just because if it's something, a stressful event or an overwhelming time, and you're just like, it's too much. I think that in that regard, the thought does count, in the sense that you know who you are. And if they're your loved one, they're your friend, your family member, and they know who you are and they respect that, and they're like, okay, thank you. And then it's also what they wanted. So it's like, all right, go team, we did it. So yeah. So I think tonight it wasn't about, was it analyzing or deconstructing what the holidays are supposed to look like, in the sense of like the movies, and saying like rejecting them. It was more about the realization and the making space for the reality of not only what your life personally, my life personally, our lives actually look like, and not comparing them to those movies or what Hollywood said that like Christmas is supposed to be or feel, but the reality. I think that's important for all of us to take not a step back, but I guess take a step back and think about the reality of these situations, of how that truly like the media you consume, the things that shaped you growing up, the things that shape you now, um, what they really mean to you and how they really affect you in your day-to-day life. I think that's one of the things people talk about, like when it comes to like influencer culture, social media, is for a lot of people when they quit social media, they say they feel better about life or themselves because a lot of the times the content they were consuming was maybe making them compare themselves to others and think that they were missing out on something when really it's like everyone's life is different. Everyone has their own lived experiences. No two people are exactly alike. Even if it's like siblings growing up, they could have viewed things very differently in their households. So it's one of those things to like take stock in what your lived experiences is and what you actually value and what you actually prioritize. Yeah. I think so. I think this live was good. Let me know in the chat if you enjoyed this format. I I think I did. It's a little more chaotic, but I think that's life too, where you kind of gotta roll with it and go with if something shows up wrong or something is off. You just gotta roll with the punches. Let me know in the chat if you enjoyed this format. But I think when it comes to like the holidays, expectations versus reality, it's not about like the magic or the feel of things this during the holidays, more about the meaning and the care and the love we put behind it, you know? Roxanne said, yes, enjoyed it, and my responses are coming in faster. Awesome. I did make sure that button was clicked. The ultra latency or latency, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But yes. Yeah, so I think if something clicked for you or resonated, I don't love that term, but the more I'm in these discussions, the more that term actually fits really well. Let me know in the chat if something in particular stood out to you during this live or in the comments after the stream. I'll totally read them. And I may put some videos in the comments, link some videos in the comments after the stream, just in case anybody's interested in other things. Yeah, I'll give everybody, woo! I don't know if you guys can see those hearts, but I did some hearts. But yeah, so next week we're going to be talking about emotions and when they get heavy, even if you don't know why, but we're going to figure out how to like, I don't want to say hold them gently. That sounds weird, but we're going to figure out how to hold them and not shame ourselves or guilt ourselves. And yeah, I think in December, for a lot of people, emotions can be overwhelming and things can get triggering. So we're going to be here to discuss that. And we may lightly infuse this format into that. But it's going to be a little bit more on the soft side. So if you're looking for something cozy next week, something more emotionally resonating, or something to kind of hold that space for you, totally join us next week, Tuesday at 7 p.m. We will also be having our Thursday game night on Thursday at 7 p.m. I think we will be playing Coffee Talk Live, Coffee Talk Episode 1 Live, Part 2. We have Part 1 stream is up on the channel right now, but I really don't think you need that much backstory in the game. Like, I think it's pretty self-explanatory as we play along, so join us for that on Thursday at 7. Follow me on Angela and then some on Instagram for like updates and things, as well as if you're not already subscribed, subscribe here because I post on the community tab post area to keep everybody updated. And then like this video if you particularly like this format. It really does help me figure out what hits and what people enjoyed, as well as what I enjoyed, since your opinion does matter. We're kind of growing this and forming it together. So this channel and all that, we're building it together. So help me help you know, help me figure out what format, what style you guys all enjoy and what resonates the most with these ideas that we can explore together and stuff. So yeah. So thank you for exploring all this with me this week. Thank you for joining the live, and remember to be gentle with yourself this week. To make sure to give yourself grace, to give others grace and understanding, and to take time to reflect and not to get overwhelmed, and really take it one breath, one relaxation, one day at a time. So thank you all for coming. I hope you had a great time. Take care of yourself, and I will see you all next week. Bye.